Welcome everyone to another video, Vinyl Attic. I'm Chili, and I'm gonna give you 21 albums, studio albums from Prince, and I kind of knocked it down from 40. I was gonna probably try to do his whole catalog of just his studio albums, but I'm like, I might as well just try to pick 21 of the best of those, that I like. So starting off at number 21. We got News, and this is a instrumental album, and N is for North, E is for East, W is for West, S is for South. And so this is a 4-track album of instrumental music. Each of these songs are like 14 minutes long, and it's somewhat jazz fusion, kind of experimental rock, heavy guitar rock, like on East, with some Middle Eastern stuff. It's just all kinds of different things that Prince was doing. This is like around 2004, and he won a Grammy for this for Best Instrumental Album. So this is a different side of Prince. If not many people have delved into this world, I highly suggest it if you just want to just hear some great musicianship. Prince, News. Now number 20, we got this album. Now, this is the first time he's used the glyph for the one that we get to know and love, because he's kind of played with this symbol throughout the 80s and in different formats and whatnot. It was even on his motorcycle in Purple Rain, but it wasn't really developed like what we see here. And this was 1991, and this is Prince and the New Power Generation. It's around that time when hip-hop was kind of coming in, and there's some issues with this for me. I love the music that he's doing on here. I had a difficulty with the rapper Tony M. Mosley that's on here, but if I could just kind of clear my mind and kind of just not hear him and just erase him, because it was kind of annoying. But you got Sexy MF, My Name is Prince, The Morning Papers is great, 7 was a big hit from here. So this is that album. Number 19, the first album, For You, 1978. He has the big afro, which he would return to before he passed on. And he's like 18, 19 on here. And there's some, this is like the blueprint of what every Prince album will be. You'll have rock, hard rock on here, weird kind of jazz. There's an acoustic song on here, Crazy You, the first song, Soft and Wet, which was the single. It didn't chart, but it was a great debut. So there's my 19. 18, Musicology. This came out in 2001, and this is what they were calling the comeback, Prince's comeback. And Prince was like, I've always been here, where did I come back from? Because he's never gone anywhere. He's made some obscure music and stuff, whatnot, which he always kind of does throughout his career, like News. But he was making albums every year. They just kind of like the mainstream was like eating this album, and like it was like the best album he's made in a long time. But no, he was making better, not just better albums, but different things throughout before this came out. So Musicology, there's the song Musicology. A Million Days is great. Life of the Party, Call My Name, which was a single too. So Cinnamon Girl as well, that was a good one. Next is the self-titled Prince album. This is the second album. It came after For You. This had the hit single, the top 10 single. His first one, I Want to Be Your Lover. And there was another one on here, Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad. Bambi, the hard rock song, was really cool on here. And this was 1979, and you could kind of tell it was a 70s thing. There's a, throughout this time, guys would always just be on the album cover with no shirt on, So there you go. Next is The Truth, which is this is a record store day one. This came out around 96, and this is just Prince and acoustic guitar, and there's like, other instruments, some drums or whatnot, but sometimes it was just him and guitar and some weird sounds that he would just, put in. And it's a different, like I said, this is a different kind of Prince that if you're not used to. And the song The Truth is it's very deep song, and Fascination's a great one. It's kind of reminiscent to his style of lead is like Santana, because that's one of his favorites, or he claims is his favorite guitarist. So this is a different kind of journey here. Prince, acoustic guitar, The Truth. Now the next one is another record store day that recently came out. That was The Gold Experience, and this is his 90s music. I think one of his best albums from the 90s. And this has The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, but there's some other great songs on here. 319, which was on the Showgirls soundtrack, or not in the soundtrack, but the movie. And Endorphin Machine's a great track here, a great rock song, but this also has like some weird kind of songs on here. There's always going to be room for that, which they would call experimental. But P Control, Pussy Control is on here. That's the first song, and the epic song, the Gold. It's like a 7-minute kind of rocker at the end. So I like this one. And next we have Artificial Age, which is 2014. And this is we weren't hearing music from Prince for like a few years until this came out. He was trying to find a way to distribute music. He's always been coming up with different ways. But he did make a deal with Warner Brothers and returned in 2014. I believe this came out. And then he, 2 years later, he was gone. Because he got his master tapes back from Warner Brothers, and then they struck up a deal. So you see in the back here, you see that this is the Purple Rain label, if you got the album Purple Rain. So I don't know why he put those on there. There's some things about it. There's a Third Eye, which he was singing about on The Truth. So there's a really cool cover too, Artificial Age. Now we got Diamonds and Pearls. This is a English only release on vinyl, but of course this is 1991, I believe this came out. Yes, it's 91, and the title track is amazing, of course. And you have Get Off, Thunder, which is a great song, the opening track. There's some cool sitar on there. Daddy Pop is very reminiscent of Sly and the Family Stone. This is a great album. I suggest it if you see it. Number 12, we got the Batman soundtrack. This was put out, the score is not on here by Danny Elfman. This is just all Prince's music, from Party Man, Scandalous, Bat Dance. Of course, my favorite song is Lemon Crush. This is a great one. And next, This was released only specially released by Target. He made a deal with Target to put out this album, Lotus Flower, and it's a double album, Lotus Flower and MPLS Sound, Minneapolis Sound. But so it's a double vinyl, but you know it's meant to be played as two. Now Target didn't release a vinyl version like this. This was released through his website. The CD version had 3 CDs on it. It had the MPLS Sound, the Lotus Flower, and Brianna, forgot, Valencia, something like that. It was one of his little protege that he made music for, and she sang on it, and it was kind of like a laid back kind of loungy music that went with these two. But I like having just the album with just his music on it, and this is very kind of like psychedelic rock, the Lotus Flower album. A lot of wah-wah, Hendrix style kind of material on here, like Colonized Mind and Dreamer, which is kind of voodoo childish. Crimson and Clover, he does a cover of that, and which segues back and forth to like Hendrix's Wild Thing. He kind of like goes back and forth on it. And so MPLS Sound, there's some kind of experimental music on there, like Chocolate Box, No More Candy for You, Valentina, which is a song he wrote about Selma Hayek's daughter, who just kind of runs around, this little girl. And it's kind of a weird kind of number, but kind of funny too, because Prince always has like these cool songs with this weird sense of humor. But this is a nice gatefold too. Whoa, that's a good save. So now we're at the top 10, and coming in at number 10 is from 1987 or 88, Love Sexy. Now this was an afterthought, I guess, but this was the album he put out after he shelved an album, the Black Album. First he put the Black Album out, they released it, copies went out, and then he wanted him back, and he wanted to put this one out instead, claiming that album is just too dark, and he was taking ecstasy while making the Black Album, and he just thought the album was kind of dark, and if he was to die, he didn't want that to be his last hurrah. So he put this one out, which is more of a spiritual thing. The album's white, he's posing like he's a cherub, and it's like being born again. This is all a lot of it is about spirituality and God. And so from the Black Album to this, and then when he went, but it was weird because when he performed on this tour, it was one of the first albums or the first tours where there was no opening act. It was an intermission. There was 2 parts. So the first part, he would play like all these dark, dirty songs, and he was playing Black Album stuff. And then when he came back, he was doing this stuff and Purple Rain and those kinds of songs. But so he was bringing back the Black Album stuff on the tour. So I don't know if that was his plan, but then that album became heavily bootlegged. So number 9, Prince and the Revolution's Purple Rain. I got the original OG, and I got the later one he remastered. And what else is there to say about this? This is the one that, without this album, he couldn't have done anything else, because, when you sell this many albums, these kind of leave you alone. you know. But, however, you know, of course, they want to see lightning strike twice, and they wanted him to do Purple Rain 2. And the next year he did it. He put out Around the World in a Day. I got an original one and a newer one. And it still had some hits on here. It had Raspberry Beret, you know, 2 top 10 hits, Raspberry Beret and Pop Life, you know, so what are they bitching about? But it was more psychedelic rock. He was getting into that, and this is 1985. Great album. Okay, so next we do at 7 have the Black Album. Now this is not, wasn't an authorized one. I do have an authorized, a real CD of the Black Album, and it's just all black. You know, even the back had no track listings or anything, or credits, but it's just only on the inside. So you have Le Grind, Cindy C, which is about Cindy Crawford, Dead on It, which is this is 1988, and so Prince is kind of talking shit about rap music because it was kind of a new thing. Then we got When Two Are in Love, which is this one of the songs that made it to Love Sexy, but it was also on here along with Bob George, which is a weird kind of studio song where his voice is deeper. He was playing with pitch controls to make his voice get really high and really low, and he kind of just has this kind of voice throughout here. And he's supposed to be his manager, and he's like kind of talking shit about him. Super Funky Califragisexy, when Two Nigs United for West Compton, which is a instrumental, and Rock Hard in a Funky Place. Now, the thing about this, and going back to the Love Sexy thing, Love Sexy, what I forgot to mention about that was that it was on the CD, it was just one track, because Prince was at this time not wanting to do singles. You know, Warner Brothers was like, we need a single, what's the single from that album, whatever, and he would give like Alphabet Street and whatever it was, but he didn't really care about that. He wanted the album to be listened to from beginning to end, you know, not just a, you know, when you have a lead-off single before an album comes out, and he didn't want his audience to think in the concept of what he was doing. He wanted you to put on the album from beginning to end and listen to it. For CD people, that's, you know, it's easy for them to skip, you know, because vinyl people, we just usually listen to the whole thing anyway, so the people who had it on CD were kind of pissed off, but that's what Prince wanted. So, which brings us to Controversy, which is, you know, the first album before, you know, his kind of breakthrough in 1999, and the classic song on here is, of course, the title track, Controversy. And I love Private Joy on here, Ronnie Talk to Russia, Annie Christian is a cool, weird song too. A lot of synth, new wave, punk kind of stuff all thrown in together. And this was, I believe this is 81. Okay, so that's number 6. And number 5, Prince and the Revolution's Parade. This is the soundtrack to Under the Cherry Moon. And it's a very short album. It had the big hit on here, Kiss, which really doesn't, if you listen to this album, there's like old Italian kind of type music on here, you know, kind of vaudevillian. You know, the movie's based, is in France. And so there's all these kind of European kind of influences on the album. And orchestral stuff and kind of jazzy stuff. And this was around the time he had another band called Madhouse, and they put out a few albums, instrumental stuff, jazz fusion kind of things. And so he was kind of bringing that into this in a more commercial way, not the more hardcore Madhouse way. So this is a great album. This is my number 5. And number 4, 1999. I think this was his second masterpiece, and his first double album. And this is one of the, first albums that I got. I know this was the first album I got from him when I was a kid, and just listened to it, beginning to end and end to beginning. 1999, Little Red Corvette. There you go. Those 2 songs. Those are the ones that broke them on MTV. DMSR, Dance Music Sex Romance. That was on the soundtrack to Risky Business, and that was a big hit. The summer movie with Tom Cruise, that was on here. Lady Cab Driver is a great song. These are songs are like 8 minutes, 9 minutes. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 songs that are kind of lengthy, with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 11 songs on here. Double album, 1999. Now, his first masterpiece, I would have to say, is 1980's Dirty Mind. This was the follow-up after Prince, the second album with the self-titled album Prince, which had the top 10 single I Want to Be Your Lover. And just like what he did with Purple Rain, he didn't repeat himself and give you guys, give the label, part 2. He went off on a different cutting edge kind of album, and this is very kind of new wavy punk, and it's sort of like a concept album. Dirty Mind was the first single. When You Were Mine, which was later covered by Cyndi Lauper on her album. Side 2's great. Uptown Head, Sister, Party Up. Party Up was a song that he got from actually Morris Day, and that was the one that they played in SNL. That was his debut there. So Dirty Mind, that was I think the first real masterpiece Prince did. Now my number 2 choice is his third masterpiece, or I would say, one of them, third or fourth, but The Rainbow Children. This was the album prior to Musicology. So when Musicology was supposedly his comeback, he was doing stuff like this, which is a weird kind of concept album that tells a story, and he's using that voice again, for that deep, slowed down voice that kind of introduces some of the songs in between, because it's track listed like chapters, each song up to chapter 14, and it's a double album, and it has that kind of jazzy, experimental rocky kind of, some of it is even kind of Zappa-esque, it's not meant for the radio at all, much like News. The musicianship here is top notch, and he has this jazz band, and this was a painting that he bought, that someone was showing him, and so he put that on the cover because it kind of sounds like what the album is, and highly recommended, The Rainbow Children. Which brings us to number 1, of course. This is the masterpiece here, Sign of the Times. So there's that hype sticker. So I just got this one here, because this is how the album looks. And I have the Super Deluxe Edition, and it talks about the photo session of this album. How they were just for some odd reason, trying to take a picture of Prince, that none of it was going well, and so he was kind of walking away, and they just took a picture of it, and that became the one. And it's, he just barely made the frame, but it's a really cool album cover, actually, with him just kind of, dazed off. And this is the first one without the revolution. He fired all of them. I think he kept one. He kept Matt Fake, the doc. And, this is his, I would say, like, every band, or artist has their, their creative peak. And this is one of them. And I think the first major one, not even 1999, this one was the album. This is sort of like his songs in the key of life, like Stevie Wonder's, or The Wall, or Physical Graffiti, that double album with, all these different songs, and they're just all amazing, and they just seem like, they don't belong together, but they do, because he just was actually making like 3 or 4 albums at the time, and so this is what came out of it. There's some heavy funk, heavy rock, some psychedelic stuff, some backwards, drums, and backwards guitars, and all kinds of stuff going on in here. And this is the album that would solidify that, yes, he is fucking here to stay, and he's he set the bar really high with this. So there's my number 1. So, comment below, what do you think? Was there a Prince album that I missed? I mean, there's, like I said, there's so many of them. I wanted to just condense it down to that number. And like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.